The elections of the President of the Republic of Armenia are arranged by the Central Electoral Commission of the Republic of Armenia, which organizes elections and referendums. It controls the whole electoral process, counts and publicizes results. According to the law adopted in August of 2011 concerning organizing and conducting presidential elections of the Republic of Armenia, there should be 3 levels of electoral commissions. The first is the Central Electoral Commission of Republic of Armenia, the second is Urban and Regional Electoral Commissions, and the third is Precinct Electoral Commissions. The Central Electoral Commission has 7 members since June 2011, who are appointed by the suggestions of the President of Armenia, the Ombudsman, President of Appellate Court, and the President of Control Chamber. Members are assigned for 6 years, with a few exceptions. In the election of the President of the Republic, the whole territory of the Republic shall be one Majoritarian constituency. The day of presidential elections is declared a no-working day throughout the Republic. The President shall be elected through a system of absolute majority and in the second round through a system of relative majority. The requirements for candidates for the President of the Republic are the following. Any person who has attained the age of 35, is not a citizen of another state, has been a citizen of the Republic for the last 10 years, has permanently resided in the Republic for the last 10 years, and has the right of suffrage, may be elected as the President of the Republic of Armenia. The same person may not be elected to the office of the President of the Republic for more than 2 consecutive times. Citizens, through self-nomination, and political parties shall have the right to nominate candidates for the President of the Republic. Candidates for the President of the Republic shall have equal rights and obligations arising from the status of a candidate for the President of the Republic.
Rights and obligations of candidates for the President of the Republic. A candidate for the President of the Republic shall acquire his status upon registration. The rights and obligations defined by this code shall apply to a candidate for the President of the Republic until the deadline for challenging the Central Electoral Commission decision on the election of the President of the Republic, or in case of challenging such decision, until the Constitutional Court adopts a decision. Candidates for the President of the Republic, with the exception of those holding political positions, shall be exempted from the performance of their work duties from the time of their registration as candidates till the summarization of the election results. Candidates for the President of the Republic shall not have the right to use their official position for gaining an advantage during the pre-election campaign. Candidates for the President of the Republic shall be exempt from army mobilization and training masters. Employers shall be prohibited from dismissing, transferring to another job, or sending on a work-related trip a candidate for the President of the Republic upon the employer's initiative. A candidate for the President of the Republic shall have the right to withdraw his candidacy in case of submitting an application by 18 o'clock no later than 10 days prior to the voting day. An application on self-withdrawal shall be notarized, or the candidate shall confirm his application on self-withdrawal in a session of the Commission. In case of self-withdrawal, the Central Electoral Commission shall repeal the registration of the candidate, and the candidate shall be obliged to compensate the expenses incurred by the state for his pre-election campaign. A candidate for the President of the Republic or the President elected may be arrested or detained or be subject to the initiation of a process to impose a judicial sanction upon him, only upon the consent of the Central Electoral Commission. The Central Electoral Commission shall adopt a decision on the above-mentioned issue by at least 2/3 majority vote of the total number of its members. The provision of this part shall not apply to citizens arrested or detained prior to being registered as a candidate, as well as to cases of submitting arrest with detention and extending the detention period of the detained candidate.
Pre-election campaign of a candidate for the President of the Republic. For the purpose of pre-election campaigning, a candidate for the President of the Republic shall open a pre-election fund in the Central Bank of the Republic of Armenia, which shall be supplemented with voluntary contributions. Free and pay use of airtime on the public radio and public television for the pre-election campaign of candidates for the President of the Republic shall be carried out in accordance with the procedures prescribed by the Central Electoral Commission. A candidate for the President of the Republic may use no more than 1 hour of free airtime on the public television and no more than 2 hours of free airtime on the public radio. A candidate for the President of the Republic may, paying out of his pre-election fund, use no more than 2 hours of paid air time on the public television and no more than 3 hours of paid air time on the public radio. In a second round of elections, a candidate may use no more than 15 minutes of free airtime on the public television and no more than 25 minutes of free airtime on the public radio, as well as no more than 25 minutes of paid airtime on the public television and no more than 35 minutes of paid airtime on the public radio. The elections of the President are held according to the procedures defined by the Constitution and the law. The President of the Republic is elected by the citizens of the Republic of Armenia for a 5-year term of office. The election of the President of the Republic is held 50 days prior to the expiration of his or her term of office according to the procedures defined by the Constitution and the law. The candidate who has received more than half of the votes is elected President of the Republic.
However, if more than 2 candidates were voted and none of them were voted by the required number of voters, a new election is appointed and the voting is held on the 14th day following the date of appointment of the new election. If only one candidate runs for the election, he can be elected if he receives more than half of the votes of electors participated in the polls. Otherwise, a second round of elections shall be conducted. The President of the Republic takes office on the day when the term of office of the previous president expires. The election of the President of the Republic shall be declared as not having taken place if the required number of voters haven't voted for the only candidate, or the candidate who received the number of votes required to be elected has died prior to summarization of the election results. In case if the President of the Republic resigns, passes out, is incapable to perform his duties, or is removed from office, extraordinary elections are held on the 14th day following the vacancy of the office of the President. The ballots. The ballots for the elections of the President of the Republic shall contain the surnames of candidates in the alphabetical order, their first names and patronymics, as well as the names of the nominating political parties, or the word self-nomination in case of the self-nomination. The ballots for the elections of the President of the Republic are printed and prepared by the order of the Central Electoral Commission, which hands out the ballots through regional electoral commissions to precinct electoral commissions on the day prior to voting. Ballots are allocated in the amount of 5% more than the number of voters in the precinct voter list.
Summarization of the election results. The Central Electoral Commission shall summarize the results of the elections and shall adopt one of the following decisions in the procedure and time prescribed by Article 75 of this Code. A decision on the election of the President of the Republic, a decision on conducting a second round of elections, a decision on declaring the election as invalid and non-election of a President of the Republic, and the last one, a decision on declaring the election as not having taken place and non-election of a President of the Republic.